Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Yeah, we just do it that way. Like, hey, we're financial advisors here, taking a little break and gonna teach you a little bit here today. I'd like to start by actually promoting Jazz After Dark. If you guys are interested, come hang out with me after hours there. We did a class on presidential elections, and not only that, but presidential elections, the congressional control, and the how the market performs. So definitely something to take a look at. And then the last class we did last night was 4 different ways to save for college without using a 529.
How many?
Four.
Four
Four.
different ways.
I love it.
All right.
We have got a financial word of the day today brought to you by Eric. We will do 2 truths and a lie, Eric's version. Financial truths and a lie?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's the whole point, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's just something fun to get to know us a little bit and
Okay.
some randomness that we've done in our lives with money.
And then I'm going to talk about how the IRS is laughing at you with your social media financial tips there because they're watching as well. And I will talk about one in particular they're coming after. So we'll give you some guidance there and a little help of how to stay out of the crosshairs of the IRS. And we'll take it from there. So first of all, financial word of the day. What is it?
All right. You actually already know this one.
Okay.
So you're a trader here, so you would obviously know this term, but it's a weird one.
Okay.
Some people hear and you're like, what in the world is it? Dead cat bounce.
I love it.
A dead cat bounce, financial word of the day. It's a short-lived recovery of asset prices from a prolonged decline. Really what it comes down to is with the market's falling and then there's a short jump up in the market or the stock has a little rebound. That's sometimes called a dead cat bounce, sometimes before it then continues to fall. So that's dead cat bounce there.
Dead cat bounce can also be identified if you're a trader out there when a stock falls and then it bounces, but as it's bouncing, less and less people are participating in that bounce. They used to call it bouncing on thin air, light air, whatever. That's a dead cat bounce, and that's
Got to watch them.
another 5 years. You know that'll be too aggressive of a quote. We won't be able to say that. Just saying.
Right. That's true. That's
I
true.
love it. Well,
People identifying as cats, so you got to watch
boy.
out.
Here we go. Oh, you feeling tough today? All right. Okay. Well, that's financial word of the day. That was simple enough. 2 truths and a lie, Mr. Eric. Let's see if you can stump me.
All right, 2 truths and a lie for you. Number 1, I bought Facebook stock at $24 per share.
Mhm.
Number 2, I cashed out my IRA when I was 20. And number 3, I bought into a local sports team and lost $5,000 when they shut down.
Okay. When did you sell your Facebook stock?
Irrelevant.
Okay. I'm going to go with that one.
Okay.
I wanted to go with the local sports team one, but
Are you sure? Final answer.
well, you didn't give me
I need
enough
some
on the Facebook.
suspenseful music.
Like you're saying, like, oh,
I bought Facebook stock for $24 a share. That's all I'm saying. I bought it for $24 a share.
Yeah, but that's like you're going to be the guy on the internet. So I bought it for 24 a share. Don't tell you that you sold it at 18.
You told me to talk in short bits, so I wasn't
Okay.
going to give you the whole story yet.
Well, then I believe the sports team one though. I'm the middle one. I'm saying that's fine. That's
Okay.
truthful.
All right.
Facebook stock.
Nope, you're incorrect.
Oh, come on.
All right, so I bought Facebook stock for $24 a share is truth. That is a truth. I did sell it at probably like 26 a share or something foolish. This was 2014-ish.
Okay.
Before I was in the industry, I was playing around, just learning stocks and stuff. I cashed out on my IRA when I was 20. That is beyond true. And
I believe that because most people do fall into that. It's a small IRA. They cash it out. I believe.
Well, so I was 18 and I was maxing out my IRA because I had a CPA who told me to max out an IRA.
Wow.
I had a lawn business. I worked for the fire department. I was saving as much money as possible. And when I was doing that, she put me in a mutual fund that I bought. And it was like, I didn't know front end load mutual funds, but that she was making her cut on it. But then the next year, I had this massive tax liability and she didn't do any planning with me through the year. So then I was going to have all of this issue. And I had lost a lot of trust because there was a lot going on here with the CPA that eventually I left and then found out that other people who had referred me said, oh no, we actually found out she's really dirty. And so then they had left too. I'm like, oh, now you tell me. Because when you're young, that's a bad impression, in the industry there. And so at that age, I kind of had this lack of trust. I just put all this money and really not knowing even what I was doing other than just putting something in an IRA. And I was like, yeah, I'll just take it out. And so I just cashed it out to pay some taxes.
Okay. And you
that was the
bought a-
same year I bought that truck too. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
If you remember the truck story.
Those were some tough years for you there.
And then no, the lie was I bought into the local sports team and lost $5,000. I didn't buy into any local sports team anytime.
See, I
Never-
could have believed that you would
Never
have
done
done
that.
that.
But yeah, it sounds like something I could have potentially done.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, there you go. You learned something about Eric.
Yeah.
Very, very clever there. I will keep this thing moving, and I just got to know where you sold Facebook at. Like,
Man, I'd have to look. I don't even know what platform I was using at the time, but I bought
Trade
all
or
kinds of
something.
stuff. But I mean, just to give you insight now, Facebook now it's Meta stock instead of Facebook. But it's generally trading right this second, give or take $300 a share. And so just to give you an idea, if I own 10 shares of it, at what would have been $240 would now be 10 times 3 is $3,000.
oh yeah.
On $240 investment. So yeah.
So actually, just a fun, quick story here. I wonder if I can go back far enough. I don't have it ready. So I've done a video on my worst investment ever, and in the market, and how that went, and just the horror story behind it. But great lesson. My best investment ever. Would you guess what stock it was?
Meta. Facebook.
No.
Oh, no.
I didn't even know what they did. I was stupid young, and I was mad about something in particular.
Okay.
So I bought the stock.
I have no clue.
Jazz. Jazz Pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
They're a big company now.
Yeah.
But at the time when they went public or something, I'm like, I'm buying that stock. And I did great. Like, I was young, so I had like $6,000 in it. And I'm like, I'm going to buy their stock because I'm going to buy all of it, and then I'm going to take over the company. Like, I had that mindset.
Warren Buffett kind of style.
Yeah, and then I want to say it was 32,000 was the total profit that I had on it, because we were moving and we needed money for down payment. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to sell it. And I gave up on my dreams of taking over that company. I was mad because they took my ticker symbol.
Oh, wow.
That was it.
There you go.
JAZZ. I'm not recommending it, just saying. Okay. You know how when you're on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or whatever other products there are now, and you're just flipping through, like we used to flip through the channels in the old days. Well, now you flip through Reels or whatever.
Yeah. Swipe left, swipe right.
Oh, not that one.
Oh,
up and down.
different
Up and down.
That
I'm an
wasn't-
up and down swiper.
That wasn't around when I was dating, by the way. So I was like, man, it's already off the market there.
Rare form today for Eric.
Just saying, like, it wasn't around. It's another
Wow.
platform out there.
I bet your joke is going to be good too. I'm excited.
No,
I'm
nothing
fired up
too
here.
crazy. Nothing too
Jesus.
crazy.
Okay. Well, hey, I swipe up and down, so now you know. And so I inevitably, it figures out I like finance. I don't know why that is. Finance and magic tricks. Like when your wife says, "Can I see your phone?" and most guys get nervous. I'm like, "Yeah, here you go." Finance and magic tricks. But
Nice.
nonetheless, you come across insurance policies, tax strategies, things like that. And Mr. Eric, do you know the Augusta rule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Do
coming
you
under
see it
fire.
online?
I had seen it. Yeah, I had seen that quite a bit. I've got another one that I thought you were going to mention, but that's interesting. That's the one under fire right now.
Well, it's only coming up because of the IRS, not because of me here. So online, the kids say, you can rent your house out to yourself and not pay taxes on the income and everything,
Yeah.
thanks to the Augusta rule. And that's true. The Augusta rule came out because of some great lobbying for the masters. It's was a small town. And people would leave and just rent out their house for that week. And the government said, that's fine. You can write that off because you're being displaced.
People do that in Lakeland, where I'm from, because of Sun and Fun.
Sun and Fun. Yeah.
Big fly-in that's there, and a lot of people just head out for the week, go somewhere for a vacation, rent their house out.
It doesn't have to be, it's usually for an event, but it doesn't have to be for that. Mardi Gras is one where people get away with that there. Wherever the NCAA tournaments are, you can use this. It's a legal tax thing you can use. If you want to look it up, it's not called the Augusta rule in the IRS. It's section 280A, right? So you can look it up. Well, the IRS says, wow, this is getting more popular. Social media, they do their research and they find out the number of views of people that are doing this.
Okay.
They then cross-reference that to the people that actually file for this. They then randomly, supposedly, check people and see, let's just see if you can justify this. Well, one group was, it was an S-Corp, right? So very popular in the S-Corp, so you can actually not pay taxes on that income. It was a group that owned some Planet Fitness franchises. They were 3 people. They were all medical doctors. and residents in Mississippi. They said, we had trouble scheduling times where we could all meet to discuss the operations of our very intricate gyms here. And so they said, well, we're going to use the Augusta rule to pay for us to meet at our houses. They did this legally. They filed it all correctly, but the IRS came back and said, we're not so sure about what you're doing here, and you've been randomly selected here. We're going to check this out. So the IRS determined that they could not produce credible evidence as to what business was conducted at those interesting meetings that they supposedly had. And each of their testimonies was vague, unconvincing, and seemed untruthful. The IRS can make statements like that, and it's up to you to say you're wrong. It's a guilty until proven innocent sort of a thing.
Okay.
So let's get to the numbers here. They set their rental rates at $3,000 to $4,000 per meeting, but the IRS said nope, it was probably more like should have been $500. Over the years, they deducted $290,000 in rent.
Holy smokes.
And it was some time, I guess. And the IRS looked at it and said, we think that it should have only been $16,500. Therefore, $270-something thousand was all taxable.
Okay.
So how do you get around this? How do you make sure this doesn't happen to you, Eric? I know you rent your house out all the time.
Well, with the Augusta rule, you've got to be careful, and you've got to know that, first of all, it's whatever local rents are going for. You can't just look at this and say, hey, I'm going to get $3,000 to $5,000 out of my house when, if you rent your house out for a night, it's $500. You go on Airbnb or something like that. You got to know something competitive there. I think $290,000. I mean, it's kind of like,
This was over time. So it was $3,000 to $4,000 per meeting.
But how many meetings do they have a year to do this?
Well, you're limited, right? You can't do this forever for the year, but
good grief.
They did it over that amount of time. What was funny is in the actual IRS documents, they responded and they said, we think that the rent deductions, what did they say? Oh, they said, we contend that the revenue agent's allowance of $500 in rent for the meetings was unreasonably low. The IRS court countered back and said, it's actually generous. That's the end of it, right? Yep. So we help clients with this all the time. This is actually very common. Did a whole class on it and everything. And I was very nervous about doing this because I don't want someone to get in trouble and then blame us. So Haley here actually put together an entire little packet. So when somebody says, I'm going to do this, she gives you the packet. And the packet's not just, a book. What it actually does is it says, okay, first, click here. You're going to be guided to areas around you that have similar venues, or if it's a house, similar property that can be short-term rentals. And here's what they're renting for, right?
Yeah, going rates.
So that because the IRS doesn't say you can pick the highest, right? So they're going to look at that. And so you can actually take that, then save it and say, okay, that's how I came to my decision on this day, and everything's there. The second thing you got to do is you have to have comparable it has to be a comparable venue. In other words, you can't go to the Holiday Inn and say, I would have rented that 40-seat auditorium and had it fully catered compared to my house. It has to be a comparable venue with comparable stuff in the house. You are allowed to charge yourself for internet, food, catering, things like that, but you actually have to prove that you did it. The third thing is you have to document, this is in the packet too, you have to document what was covered and who was there. So if you're genuinely having these meetings, you will have essentially minutes of the meetings. They don't have to be incredibly detailed. It just has to be known. This is who was here. We talked about customer support, whatever. And then you take that packet and you file it away in your Dropbox or whatever it is. So that inevitably, one day when the IRS comes back and picks on this, you can justify that amount. Because what happened here, by the way, I'm going long, I know, but what happened here was they had no way to prove that $3,000 to $4,000 was reasonable. It very well could have been reasonable, but maybe they were, they're doctors. They could have had really nice homes, but they had no way to prove that it was reasonable. So the IRS said, we see 500, and these are how we came to those numbers. They couldn't do that.
Well, and just the unrealistic expectation of, deducting $290,000, depending on how long, maybe they've done this for the past, 75 years here, but, the idea of that, if you look at something and say, hey, this will probably be questionable, then maybe you should think about, do you really need to do it? Or maybe do you need to make sure that you're dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's. If they would have had everything, all of the I's dotted and T's crossed, maybe they could have got away with it.
Well, let's just figure it out. So let's say it was $4,000. So you can do the Augusta rule for 14 days a year. You can do it for more. You only get the tax help on that. That's $56,000 in a year.
It's almost 6 years, 5.5 years.
So 290 divided by 56. I mean, that's not a whole long time for 5 years there, 5.1 years.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. I thought actually you were going to be going with so another insurance, actually an insurance thing that's right now in the news is the whole IUL.
Yeah.
And there's a big deal with that because that's a social media thing. A lot of people are pushing the Index Universal Life, Pacific Life. They're denying all claims of it, but basically, plaintiffs said that in 2017 they paid $505,000, and their investment gained $248,650, but they surrendered the policy, received $202,655, and which, I mean, there's surrender periods with this stuff. There's so many things that people don't understand with those. But the whole different one there that I thought you were going with today.
I couldn't figure out if I could record it. I was trying to screen record it. But on TikTok, I think, they do live stuff. And all those insurance people are on there. There was a guy with his whiteboard or his little magic board, and he's writing stuff on there and talking about it. And people were saying, what are the fees? What are the fees? And I was like, oh, here we go. And he was like, what do you mean? What does it matter what the fees are? Look, you got this. And he was trying to downplay that. And people were like, I'm guessing 5 to 6%. I'm guessing 5 to 6%. And he goes, no, think about it. And he's like, what if the fee was 5 to 6%? Like, so what? If you're getting this, then you pay for it. And I'm like, okay, but if that's what it is, just tell people that's what it is. Like our website, you go to the fee is right on the website. You don't have to hunt for it. It's right there. Just scroll down past the cool picture and bam, it's right there. If your fee is 6%, just say it's 6% and then show how you'll provide some great value. So
6%, yeah.
Yeah, that's usually what I find. But.
Yeah. Well, what they don't tell with the IULs is a whole different rabbit trail to go down that I got to really do some research on this. But they'll tell you, well, you can borrow from your money tax free.
Sure.
And you're going to get a 5% dividend on your money.
It's going to be great.
Certain things and all this other stuff. What they don't tell you is that when you borrow the 5%, or you borrow your money, you'll get 5%, but they're charging you 5%.
Yep.
So there's, basically if you had your money in the bank, it's the same concept. And it's like you could, just use the money out of the bank, put money back.
The spread between what you borrow and what it costs is so freaking tight.
Yeah.
That it doesn't.
Insurance companies aren't sponsoring football, whole like the Super Bowl and, having these massive buildings with their names on them and losing money. So if you think that these people are out there and you think it's like the best deal, more power to you.
Getting Eric fired.
All right.
Today.
So, all right.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, I'm a little frustrated because I got fired from my job at Google Maps. Apparently, I was terrible at drawing the boundaries between countries. They said I was borderline incompetent.
Okay. All right. I don't really have a joke. I
was just seeing if you could even grab that one because it was a little bit of a thinker.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. That was a thinker. Well, I actually
looked like for borderline dad jokes, and it like gave me all jokes with the word borderline in it. How about that? Some of them I couldn't say. I was like, oh shoot, I can't read that.
Let them have it. Let them have it.
Yeah.
It's not a joke, but actually, so part of my scrolling the other night was there's a viral thing, and this happens apparently one time. If you take, like at the end of this year, right after Christmas, if you take your birth year and you add your age to it, it will equal 2023.
Take your birth year.
Yeah.
And add your age to it.
It'll equal 2023.
Well, yeah.
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 So that was cool.
I mean, it should be, right? No. There's no way that's going to work.
So
hold on.
Actually,
like 97.
Yeah.
So no, there's just no way this works, right?
I kid you not. I was watching.
Does this work?
Oh, it works. It works. Yeah.
Every time?
It's flawless. Especially.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it just throws me off because like we hit the from 1999 till the 2000s. So kind of flip the switch.
December 31st.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you do it, it will do it. Yeah.
Okay.
It actually works all the time.
So, yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm like, hold on a second. Yeah, it makes sense. And then I'm like, wait,
Dude,
What about
I kid you not, there's a financial podcast, and on my thing, it pops up, and the girl says that, and the other girl is like, of course it does. Because your birth year plus your age is always the current year, unless you're in the middle of the year. That's why I said the end of the year.
Yeah.
So she's like, and like they posted it. Like,
well, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Like you add your,
yeah.
But then I got to thinking, I'm like, hold on, is there a catch on this? Because I'm like, hold on a sec, because it went from 1999 to 2000, but still you're just flipping, the next number. So it's not.
Well, you can't do it now. Like for example, when I told it to Cody, and Kevin to see who would get it first. And Cody's like, I don't want to do math. And then Kevin goes, yeah, of course, dude, like almost right away. But both of them thought it was going to be a joke. So I thought, well, let's see if you think it's a joke.
Yeah.
No, this was a legitimate financial podcast thing that they did this. And the lady was like, that's how it works, Like she fell for it.
Mm.
And she brought it up. She was the one who was like, look, there's this thing going around the internet right now. If you do, she was sold on it. Like, this is a cool mathematical thing. Happens once in a life.
Runs in your lifetime.
No, sorry, that's not the case. She had a rough night. All right, we'll wrap it up there. I hope you learned something here today. Be careful with that Augusta rule. And truthfully, be careful with everything else you use as a strategy that you see online, because you're watching, and so is the IRS. They want to make sure you're doing it right.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
All right. And adios.
Adios.